Good morning, years 3 and 4. Welcome to another week of Maths at Home with Mrs. Whitley. I hope you've had a lovely weekend and you're ready today for some maths. On Monday, we're going to be looking at coordinates. We're going to be looking at reading coordinates and identifying where these would be on a grid. On Tuesday, we're going to use coordinates to be able to create polygons. On Wednesday, we're going to be looking at movement and translation of shapes using our coordinates. And then on Thursday and Friday, Miss Charman and myself will upload some more things on Mathletics and Purple Mash for you. I hope you have a lovely week. So the first question I've got for you this morning is, what are coordinates? I just want you to have a think about that. Talk to the person next to you or someone at home. What are coordinates? So, coordinates allow us to pinpoint exactly where a point or shape is on a graph or a map. Coordinates are written in brackets separated by a comma. They are an ordered pair, which means the order in which they are written is important. The first number shows us how many places to move across the horizontal axis, which is the x-axis. And the second number shows us how many places to move up the vertical axis, which is the y-axis. Good morning, years 3 and 4. Welcome to Maths at Home with Mrs. Whitley. This is our Monday session and we're going to be looking at coordinates. Now I want you to just think about two questions with someone at school who's with you or someone at home. What are coordinates and when do you think we might use them? Excellent, well done. So coordinates are used firstly to pinpoint a position on a grid or maybe a map. Maybe it's that you're going for a walk and you want to identify a particular place on a map and you want to pinpoint that place, you want to find how to get there, and you might use coordinates in order to pinpoint that place and be able to identify ways in which you can get to that point. So in our lesson today, we're going to be looking at reading coordinates and we're going to be looking at how to identify where those coordinates might be on a grid. So you may have noticed with our coordinate that we've got on the screen just at the top, but we've got a 1 and we've got a 6. Now with those numbers, how they're ordered is important. The first number shows us that we have to go horizontally along the grid, and the second number shows us that we have to go vertically up the grid. So you've got a saying that will help us remember that, which is along the corridor and then up the stairs. So with this coordinate, we've got 1, 6. So on the screen, I'm just going to use this pink spot just to show you going horizontally along to the 1 and then vertically up to the 6, which you can see. And it's pinpointed the position just at the top for you. We're just going to look at another one. Okay, so we've got a purple square in the picture of the grid, and the coordinate that we're going to be looking at is 3, 5. So the purple square will get into position. It will go along the x-axis, which is a horizontal part of the grid, along to the 3, and then it will go up to the second number, which is the 5. That is the vertical axis, which is the y-axis, and that is the pinpoint. That is the coordinate that you can see, 3, 5. Let's look at another example. So on the screen here, you will see a little smiley face coming up just in the corner of the screen, and we've got the coordinate 6, 2. Now what I want you to do is just pause the video for a minute and I want you to see if you can identify on the grid where the coordinate 6, 2 would be. Remember, it's along the corridor and then up the stairs. Well done. Just pause it for a minute and see if you can find the point. Excellent, well done. So we're going to use our smiley face. It's just taken the position. It's going to go along the x-axis to the 6, and then it's going to go up to the 3. It's gone along the corridor and then up the stairs. Sorry, it's 6, 2, not 6, 3. And on the next one, you will see that there are lots of things located on this grid. We've got a tree, a football, a dog, a boot, a cap and a cup of coffee. What I want you to do in your books is I want you to identify what is the coordinate for each of these objects. And I want you to start with, say, the tree. Write tree in your book and then write what the coordinate would be. Remember, with coordinates you need bracket, you need the number, you need a comma, you need your number, and then you close the bracket, okay? And that's really important. Remember, it's along the corridor first, so that will be your first number, and then it will be up the stairs, that will be your second number on the vertical axis, which is the y-axis. So write those in your book, pause the video, and we'll look at the answers on the next slide. Well done. Here we have the mild task for today. What you need to do is look at the coordinates and you need to identify what object is at each coordinate and then write that name on the grid. On the screen in front of you are the answers for the mild task. Your extension task is for you to create your own 10 by 10 grid and to label the axes. You need to choose objects that you can plot onto the coordinates and then challenge your friend at school or someone at home to see if they can write the coordinates for the objects that you've put on. Have fun! This is a spicy task for today. You need to write the coordinates for the zoo animals. This is a spicy extension task for today. You need to create your own 10 by 10 grid and label the axes. You need to choose some objects that you can plot on the grid, and then you need to challenge your friend to see if they can find the coordinates for the objects that you've planned. Have fun! Here is a hot task for today. You need to look at the coordinates and decide which animal is at which coordinate. Once you've done that, you then need to look at the picture of the animals and write the coordinates of the animals. And lastly, you need to have a go at drawing your own zoo animals at each of the coordinates that are given on the map. This is a hot extension task for today. Create your own 10 by 10 grid and decide on 10 objects that you can plot onto the grid. Then ask a friend or someone at home to look at your objects and write the coordinates. Enjoy! This is a chili challenge task for today. You've got to look at the letters on the screen in circles and you've got to position these 10 letters in their correct positions according to the 8 clues on the left-hand side of the screen. The answers from some children from another school will follow on the next slide. My first question for you in our lesson today is, can you remember from yesterday what are coordinates and when might we use them? Okay, so we're just going to think about that question a little bit more and look at an example to remind us. A coordinate, remember, is pinpointing a position or on a grid or a map. So in front of us you will see a grid which is labelled with an axis. The x-axis goes horizontally and the y-axis goes vertically. I want you to look at the red dot and write down the coordinate in your book. Well done, remembering to use along the corridor and up the stairs. The point is plotted at 7, 3. That's the coordinate. Remember, we write 7 is the one going horizontally and the 3 shows the number vertically. Good morning, Years 3 and 4. Welcome to our Tuesday session of Maths at Home with Mrs. Whitley. Now, if you remember in our session yesterday, we were looking at coordinates and being able to plot coordinates on a grid. And what we're going to do today is we're going to be looking at plotting coordinates on a grid to make a shape. Now you'll notice on this screen here, we've got a grid with our y-axis down the side and our x-axis going along. If you remember yesterday, we talked about going along the corridor and then up the stairs. The order of the coordinates are important that we're using. So the coordinates that we've got at the top start with 2 and 8. Okay, so if we're going to plot 2, 8 on the grid, we need to go along the corridor to number 2, and then we need to go up the stairs to number 8, and that will be pinpointing our first coordinates. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that pinpoint on the grid. So we're going to go along to 2 and then up to 8, and I'm going to put a little cross there so that we know we've found our first coordinate. The second one is 3, 9. So we need to go along the corridor, along the x-axis to number 3. And then the second number in the coordinate is 9, so we need to go up to 9. So we're going to go all the way up, and I'm going to plot my coordinate there. Okay, the next one that we've got to plot is 5, 9. So along the corridor to 5, and then we're going to go up to 9, which is here. So I've plotted my next coordinate. Okay, the next one, 6, 8. So again, I go along to 6, and then I go up the stairs to number 8, and I plot it just there. The next one I'm going to plot is 5, 7. So again, along the corridor to number 5, and then we go up to the 7, which is here, and I plot my coordinate just there. And the last one that we've got to plot is 3, 7. Okay, so I go along to 3, along the corridor, and then up the stairs to number 7, and I plot my coordinate there. Now you should begin to be able to see a shape. If I join these coordinates together, like so, you will see that I have a shape. What shape do you think I've got? Tell the person next to you or somebody at home. Think about how many sides and how many corners it have. That will help you. And we'll count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We know that we've got a hexagon. Okay, so we've plotted a shape on our grid. Well done. So we're just going to look at another example of coordinates that make a shape. I want you to look at the triangle on the screen in front of you, and I want you to identify what coordinates have been used to plot the triangle. Once you've done that and you've written those coordinates into your book, I want some of you to try the extension. Can you plot another triangle and write down the coordinates that you've used? Maybe you could plot a right angle triangle or a scalene triangle. Try and do a different type of triangle. On the screen in front of you, you will see the coordinates to make the triangle. You will also see some coordinates for the extension, which are just a possible answer. Look at the screen in front of you. What coordinates have been used to plot the triangle? And I want you to write those down in your book. And once you've done that, I want you to see if you can plot a different shape, maybe a square, maybe a rectangle, maybe even a hexagon, and write down your own coordinates. On the screen in front of you, you will see the answers for the triangle coordinates, and you will also see an extension example using a square. This is the mild task for today. What you need to do is look at the given coordinates, plot them on the grid, and then write the name of the polygon that you have created. The answers will follow. On the screen in front of you, you will see the spicy task for today. You need to plot the coordinates on the grid, join them together to identify a polygon, and then you need to write the name of the polygon. On the screen in front of you is a hot task for today. You need to plot the given coordinates on the grid and join them to make a polygon. Once you've done that, you need to write the name of the polygon, and then as an extra challenge, you need to use a ruler to measure the sides of each polygon to the nearest half a centimetre, and then calculate the perimeter of each of the polygons. We're just going to start our lesson today by just reminding ourselves how we find coordinates. What I want you to do is look at the blue spots on the screen in front of you, and I want you to write each of the coordinates for each of the blue points on the grid into your book. Here are the answers. Hopefully you got them right. Well done. Brilliant. You are now a pro at finding coordinates. We're now going to look in this session at translating coordinates. Maybe some of you might know what translation means. I just want you to have a think about it for a minute. Pause the video, talk to a friend at school or talk to someone at home and just see if you've got an idea what translation is. Don't worry if you haven't, because on the screen coming up is a video of me explaining. Good morning, Years 3 and 4. Welcome to Maths at Home with Mrs. Whitley, our Wednesday session. Now, this week we've been looking at coordinates, we've been looking at identifying them on a grid, and we've been looking at using those to make shapes. What we're going to do in our session today is we're going to look at translation, okay? Translation is basically the movement of a shape or a spot, which I've got on here as a coordinate, on a grid. We talk about translation by using the terms left or right or up and down. The shape doesn't actually change, it's just the movement of the shape or the dot or the object that you've got on your grid. So at the moment in front of you, you can see that I've plotted the coordinate 4, 3. Okay, now we're going to translate, we're going to move that spot using some instructions. Okay, so my first instruction is that the dot is going to move 4 to the left and then up 3. It will move 4 to the left and then up 3. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to count 4 across, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, which takes me to the 0 on the y-axis. Okay, and then I need to move 3 up. So I need to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to plot our spot just here. And our new coordinate is going to be 0, 6. Okay, so we started with 4, 3, and I'll write that on here. We started with 4, 3. That was our first coordinate. And using the instructions, 4 to the left and 3 up, we found our new coordinates. So we'll just check that together. 4 across, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you go 3 up, 1, 2, 3. So we can find our new pinpoint, which I've put using a felt tip point as spot, and the new coordinate using the coordinates along the corridor and up the stairs. We come here first, we know it's on the 0, so we go up and we find it 0, 6. So let's plot that on here, 0, 6. Okay, let's look at another one together. Let's plot another coordinate. I'll go for 8, 7. Okay, so I put it on here. I've gone along the corridor to 8 and then up to 7. I will write it on here so that you can see 8, 7. Now what we're going to do is we'll go 2 to the left and we'll go 2 up. I'm just writing that down to remind myself. So using the coordinate 8, 7, here's 8, 7. We're going to go 2 to the left, so we're going to count along 2 columns to our left, 1, 2, which brings me to this point, and then we're going to go 2 up, 1, 2. So my new point is just here where I've translated the spot using left and up. Okay, so it's gone from here, which was 8, 7, and it's gone into this column, which is now 6, 9. So we can write that down. We've gone across to column 6, and you can see it's on line 9. So we can write that down there. So that's how you translate a dot or an image using the coordinates that you've got and using to the left, to the right, or up and down. We're going to look at that a little bit more in this session, so keep watching. I want you to look at the grid in front of you where there are 2 spots labelled A and B. Now, I want you to think about, is the following statement true or false? Point A has been translated 3 right and 4 up to point B. Is that true or false? And the answer will follow on the next slide. On the screen in front of you is a blue spot labelled B. What you need to do is you need to think about the following statement. If point A is being translated 3 squares to the right and 5 squares down to point B, what was the original coordinate for A? And see if you can write that coordinate in your book. The answer will follow on the next slide. On the screen in front of you is the mild task for today on translation. The spicy and hot task will follow with a chili challenge at the end. Have fun! I've included an extra task for you to do, which you can do today or tomorrow or another time when you're at home or at school, and it's battleships. What you have to do is you have to plot the different size ships onto your sheet, and then your partner has to give coordinates, and you have to decide if it's a hit or a miss, depending on whether it's hit your ship or not. And the winner is the first person that sinks all their opponent's ships. Enjoy and have fun! Here are some links to some more games and activities using coordinates. Please feel free as an optional task to have a go at some of these. Enjoy. Well done Years 3 and 4 for all your hard work over Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday session. For Thursday and Friday session, Miss Charman and myself will be uploading some more work on Mathletics and Purple Mash for you. We hope you have a really lovely weekend. Take care of yourselves and lots of love.